day 3, and I'm going to go to the Modern Art Museum, which is really more of the Contemporary Art Museum by Centennial Hall, to check out the Media Art exhibition by Wow, this is a stunning building. The Media Art exhibition is over to the left. I think that's part of it, this contraption. This installation and its sounds are intended to represent communication between, well, in a universal language, which could be understood by humans and non-humans. This creature is called Senster, and it was actually created in the 1970s and then literally left in storage until funding was obtained to restore it. It's supposed to react to sound and light like, I suppose, an animal. Here is the pavilion dedicated to the Media Art Biennale. I'm going to go in and investigate, delve into each installation momentarily. Okay, what's going on here? Hi. This one I love. This is about computer spending its leisure time stroking a virtual dog, and it poses a lot of interesting questions about them. This shows the output of the human hand when combined with predictive text. It results in a message which is mediated by AI and contains a lot of nonsense garbage words, yet still possesses the structure of subject, verb, object, like a human being's prose. This artwork I love. It's a commentary about how we each function within designated, prescribed spaces in our relationship. This particular film was made by strapping a video camera onto the underside of a pigeon, for example. This is the next video. It shows, well, it's drone photography of a valley in California which is undergoing a water crisis. This is Aleppo soap. It's being filmed and mic'd. It's a metaphor for human civilization, destruction, with soap and soap making as its ancient foundation. It's a bit too abstract. This is very pretentious and, dare I say, French. The final room. It's a big room, though, mind you, with a lot to look at, like the other big room. This is about the creation of identities online which lead to terrorism or which inspire terrorism. These are 4 video games. They're intended to be not just games, but cultural artifacts. pretty depressing video. I'm going to read this one. An algorithm that turns the latest media headlines into artistic concepts. This is perfect, and this is how I already feel about the British newspaper media. Sketch critical. Sketch about the critical dimension of neural net. Oh, that's not bad. Let's look at the next one. Palace says. Algorithmic. What turning Palace says into an algorithm. This video is about policing public displays of affection. It's obviously satirical and it's quite funny. Wow, this is an artwork about 10 men. And how when the Chinese characters 64 are typed in, there's a suppression of Google search results. But it has occurred over the past 30 years that this image of a Lego tank manages to surface when 64 is typed in. Here's just one more view of one of the principal rooms of the Wroclaw Media Art Biennale. I'm very happy that I made the time to visit, even if it meant leaving job. That was a brilliant exhibition. It gave me a really great overview of what a media art exhibition is like, and that's super crucial because that's something I'm actually working on to stage in Hong Kong. So I felt it was incumbent on me to check that out firsthand. And by chance, well, not by chance, I met with one of the team who had mounted the exhibition, who told me that it has been going on since 1989, this Biennale, and that the curator is 62. I'm totally gutted that I can't meet the curator because one of his team offered to set up a meeting between us while I was here, but with John waiting at the hotel room, I have to go back, and there's no way I'll be able to fit that in, which is This is real borscht. I've never had real borscht until today. Usually it's a thick soup. This is thin, jewel colored, and it's really delicious. It's sweet, but it's very savory as well. Finally, we have set foot in City Hall after passing in front of it 20 times at least. This just gives you an idea of the type of rooms in the City Hall. This is a giant furnace. And I mentioned it's very Hegel. This is the Great Hall. It's extremely impressive. This is actually a very nice building. I'm not going to recount the history of every room, but just to give you an idea. This room contains exquisite marquetry work, which looks quite new. I haven't looked up its age, but you can get an idea. This pressed steel and wood door is typical of all the doors in this building.
A short segment from Fiona.
Okay, fine.
Only for 3 years. Basically.
This used to be the Royal Palace. It's actually very close to where we have been walking the whole time. It's funny how when you might go 500 meters in a new direction, different direction, when you're a tourist, and then it feels like a whole new city. This is one such case. This is a crazy art windfall. There's this really important Dürer triptych here in this city museum. We never would have expected to see that. We came here to just figure out the multifarious phases of its history. Warsaw was originally part of the Piast dynasty. That was in the 10th century. Then It was part of the Kingdom of Bohemia from the 13th to the 15th century, and then part of the Habsburg Empire beginning in 1550, 1530. It's got a history so rich that it's mind-bending. I told John that if he's nice to me, I'm going to get one of these made for him.
Saying rest in peace.
Yeah. I was expecting some very kind of a city museum, which was an afterthought, but this city museum contains many masterpieces and is a repository for a lot of the treasures. You can always tell a Habsburg portrait from a mile away because of the bug eyes and the underbite. This is King Leopold, and boy, was he not a looker. And his predecessor, the equally unattractive Emperor Ferdinand. This museum is was installed in the former royal palace, and there are a few staterooms that they have not kept intact, but which are visited as staterooms. Here they are. The museum's about to close. I just wanted to show you the view from the balcony. Here's the royal garden, and then beyond that, there's actually a public park. I'm not sure what I'm looking over, but it's actually it's very interesting, beautiful outside, well planned. The time this is the last exhibit, and I can't get in. John's in there. I'm going to go downstairs and find him. If you ever make it here, so make a beeline to this museum first. It will actually situate the city within the broader context of the Kingdom of Bohemia, the Habsburg Empire, the Reformation, the Counter-Reformation, World War II, and World War I. And it is chock full. It is stuffed with incredible examples from each period of art and culture.
Beautifully presented.
And it's really well curated. This is next to the palace, in the same style, Reformed Court Churches, it says. This is a stunning street. I guess that's the nature of Wrocław in general. Everywhere we turn, there is something that surprises us with its beauty. Lots of unexpected corners. This is the White Stork Synagogue. It was originally built in 1870, destroyed during the war, and then only recently rebuilt and reopened in 2010. This is a huge courthouse building. It's funny how it looks like a castle. See how big it is? It ends there, and it takes up more than a city block. It's gigantic. We did the Old Town Promenade yesterday, and now we're going to do the other half, going the opposite direction to what we did yesterday. Time and time again, I have passed in front of this facade and planned to take a photo, and now I'm really going to try now.
They must have used a mold because these girls are exactly the same.
Yeah.
No variation at all. The face, the head.
We're going back to this bar, which doesn't have a menu.
You've got to recognize the man.
Of course I'm sitting in the courtyard of this bar, and John pointed out all this decorative ironwork and what do you call those decorative panels? The sad thing is the onward march of capitalism is going to undermine the incentive to add such decorative flourishes to commercial buildings in the future. There's no doubt about it.
And a lot of them led into a big internal courtyard with bars, little gardens.
I decided to eat Italian tonight instead of Polish.